Hello, and welcome to this third Blender tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at creating a very basic character. This character is not going to be very advanced by any means. The primary focus of this tutorial is just getting some practice using Blender. Alright, go ahead and open up Blender if you do not have it open already, and you're going to be loaded into the default scene, and we're actually going to keep the default cube. Go ahead and press N for me on the keyboard. This will open up the additional transform information, and I'd like you to set the dimensions to 1 by 1 by 1. If you hadn't had a chance to see the previous video, the reason why we are setting the dimensions to 1 by 1 by 1 is because when you go from Blender to Unity, the Blender by default is 2 meters. Inside of Unity, the default is 1 meter, so objects coming in from Blender are going to be roughly 2 times the size if you don't go ahead and set that reference size up front. After that, go ahead and press Control A and then apply all transforms. Again, Control A, all transforms. Alright, so we are all set to go ahead and get started with this basic cube. So let's start by using the transform tool to go ahead and move this object up a little bit. We're just positioning the head a little bit off this ground plane here. The very first thing I'd like to show you is the subdivision surface modifier. A modifier is simply something that we can apply to a model or object to give it some additional properties. So if we select Add Modifier, we can select Subdivision Surface, and you'll notice that that is going to go ahead and subdivide this cube into a more human-like head, which is exactly what we are looking for. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and apply this. You don't want to forget to apply your modifiers. And now we can actually go ahead and go into edit mode and we can start working on this. So something we may want to do, for example, is I'm holding down shift and left clicking, holding down shift again and just selecting this side. So this is going to be the front of our character. What I like to do is just press S to scale, just to bring this in a little bit. And then as well, something that we could do is select the vertices, this one for example, and I would just like to move it in ever so slightly, just so our character doesn't have such a round head. Perfect. You can also make that adjustment for the bottom so that they don't have such a pointy neck going down. Alright, so that is looking great. This is, of course, going to be the front of our character here. We can do, of course, a little bit more modification to bring these in, as well as if you press G, we can grab these vertices and we can start to have a lot of fun shaping this face into something that we want. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create a neck for this character. So what I'd like to start by doing is in the face mode, I'm going to select these different faces. And what I would like to do is I'm going to go ahead and flatten, well, maybe not flatten these out. Let's actually go ahead and subdivide them a little bit more. So we'll select the edge menu and subdivide, just to give us a little bit more geometry to work with. Don't know if I like that moved out so much there. I might grab that and bring that back out. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and go back to the face mode, and I'm going to select these 4 faces. And then something cool that you can do is you can do scale, and then you can scale on a particular axis. So for example, if you were to do Z and then 0, you can scale this by 0 on that axis. So let me do that operation again. Go ahead and select these 4 faces, press S to scale, press Z to scale on the Z axis, and then press 0 on the number key to flatten that out. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and press E to extrude, and I'm just going to extrude a neck down a little bit. And I think what I'd like to do is make it a little bit wider so that the neck kind of fills out a little bit. So I'm going to press S to scale with the bottom face is still selected to make it look just like that. So that's looking great. Alright, what I'd like to do now is let's go ahead and make the chest. So there are a few different ways we can make the chest. One thing that we can start by doing is pressing E to extrude, and we'll just extrude out a little bit. And then what we could do, for example, is we could add an edge loop, I think would look nice. So again, let's go ahead and do Control R, and I'm just going to add an edge loop right in the center. That was Control R, put your mouse in the center and click once to add an edge loop. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to press S to scale, and we're just going to bring this guy out a little bit. And we can move this up or down a little bit. I think I might add another edge loop down here and press S to scale a little bit, just to give our character a little bit more definition. If we want to work on this one down here, something we could do is, let me go ahead and select these edges coming around here. And we'll just scale these out a little bit as well, just to give his chest a little bit more defined. Kind of looks like he has two chins, because this I'm considering to be the front of his face. I'm just going to quickly take this vertice and just move it up a little bit. Doesn't have to look beautiful, but just so it's not a second chin. Okay, so this is looking pretty good now. And now we can go ahead and let's just continue on kind of with his legs. So let's go back to face selection mode. I'm going to select these, and then I'm going to do another subdivide just like that. And well, let's add a little bit more by pressing E to extrude down a little bit. And then we can start working on our legs. So if we select these four, for example, we could press E to extrude, bring those down just like that, and then we could press G to grab and maybe just position them a little bit more over. So shift select these ones, E to extrude, bring them down, G to grab and just position them over a little bit, just like that. And we'll just move it up very slightly just to match the size of the legs there. That's looking great. Let's add some shoes to him. So what we can do is let's go ahead and extrude these faces down a little bit more. Maybe something we want to try and do is merge these. So I'm going to do Alt-M. So again, select your faces, 1, 2, 3, 4, by holding down Shift. Alt-M on your keyboard, and let's merge these. I don't think we want to do that. I mean, that's pretty cool. I think what I would like to do is let me go ahead and we want to dissolve these. So we're going to press X, and X is the delete menu, but rather than deleting, we're going to do dissolve, and let's try dissolving the edges first. So that did not work. Let's go ahead and press X again, and we're going to dissolve the vertices. That did not work. So what we should do is let's go ahead and select these edges here, just like this, and let's press X again and dissolve edges. So rather than dissolving the faces, which got rid of everything here, we want to dissolve just the edges. And let's go ahead and do that for these ones here. So again, X, dissolve edges. The reason why I wanted to do that is, let me see the front of my character, there we go, is because I just want to make some very basic shoes. And I'm going to use my face selection. I'm going to press I to inset and bring it in. Oops, I to inset with a little bit more space like that. E to extrude to bring that down. I to inset. E to extrude. And we'll just bring that up a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and make his shoes by doing E to extrude, S to scale, E to extrude. And these are going to be his shoes. They're not going to be the most beautiful shoes, but that's okay. E to extrude, S to scale, and then go ahead and just E to extrude and bring them down a little bit, so something like that. And we don't want these extra edges here, so what we're going to do is use the edge selection tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select that, press X, dissolve edges, and you can do that all the way around. This is a really handy way just to get rid of excess geometry that we may not want on these objects, just like that. Alright, so that is looking great. So now we have our shoes, and let's go ahead, well, let's actually bring them out a little bit more. We'll go to the face selection, and we'll just go ahead and do something very simple. We'll just E to extrude and E to extrude. Kind of like he's wearing some clown shoes, but that's okay. Well, the only thing we're really missing right now is some arms. So how do we want to do the arms? Well, we can go ahead and add a little bit more geometry here. So we'll start by just selecting these, doing edge and subdivide, and we'll do the same thing on this side. We'll do edge, subdivide, and this is not going to look the greatest, but we'll go ahead and use this as our arm. So we'll just do E to extrude, and then we'll do this one here as well, E to extrude. So now he's got some arms. What if we want to add some hands? Well, we can go ahead and select these faces by holding down Shift and left clicking. Then let's do S to scale, X, 0. And so again, that was S to scale, X, 0. Press Enter. And let's make these all one face. So we're going to go back to our edge selection mode, select these here, X to dissolve, and then dissolve edges. Same thing over here, in case you missed it the first time. Select these by holding Shift and left clicking, S to scale, X, 0, and then go ahead and go to the edge selection mode, click off to deselect everything, and then hold down Shift to select those 4 edges, X, and then dissolve edges. And then we'll just add some goofy looking hands by doing, let's do I to inset. And then I think I want to do S to scale on the Y, S, Y, just to make that a little bit more in, E to extrude, and then we'll do E to extrude, S to scale, and then E to extrude. And then maybe S to scale at the very bottom. We'll give him some pointy hands, just like that. Alright, so if that was a bit fast, I'll go a little bit slower here on this side. So what we're going to do is I will inset it perfectly from each side. I didn't like how wide it was here, so what I did is I want to scale by pressing S on the Y-axis just to bring that in a little bit more. E to extrude it out. E to extrude, S to scale to make it bigger. E to extrude to bring it out, and then S to scale to give him a pointy hand. So, silly looking character, but I think you should be pretty proud of our first character. He's not dimensionally proportional or anything like that, but it is a character that we could now add some textures to, and in the next video we're actually going to go ahead and rig up this character for some animation, and we'll be able to see him moving inside of Unity. So I hope that's really exciting, and I know your character is going to look a lot better than mine, and I hope you have a lot of fun learning a little bit more about Blender and all of the exciting things that you can do inside of it. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below or reach out to your instructor with more questions. Thank you very much.